Hello, welcome to Quackalope. Thank you for being here. Why don't we continue this tradition of a little bit lighter, more conversational videos? And this one is going to be a doozy, I think. But before we get into 5 games that I was disappointed by, if you are brand new to this channel, or if you are a reoccurring viewer or watcher, please swing down below and make sure that you're subscribed. Still about 60% of our average viewers are not subscribed to the channel, and it really does do a significant amount in terms of the longevity and the future prospects of what we're doing here on Quackalope. If you appreciate our content, that is one thing you can do to make sure that you are supporting our continued success. All that being said, this is another one of these videos where I don't heavily edit it. And if you hear, it is a cold November day, so if you hear the wind being all blustery outside, my sincere apologies. Trust me, I tried to have a conversation with it, let it know that I was recording, and it just continues blowing and spinning out of control. So, this video is 5 games I was, or have been, or am continued to be with, disappointed by. Now, an important caveat that I think we need to set in place before we swing into this: these games are not bad games. In fact, I would venture to say that my opinion is potentially wrong on these games, as far as like the rest of the gaming world, or at least the vast majority of it, would have me believe. It does not change the fact that my opinion is, I have been, in whatever context, mind you, I have been disappointed by these games, and a few of them I really don't have much interest in playing again. Now, if you're watching this and you like this topic, I made a list of about 15 or 16 games that are popular titles that I personally have been disappointed by. And so if you'd like another video, including some of the ones that I didn't include in this conversation, hit that like button down below. Because if we get enough likes down there, that'll justify doing another one of these videos, or at least, twist my arm into doing another one of these videos. Along with that, leave a comment letting me know what games are on your list that you potentially have been disappointed by outside of the popular norm. Because that is the goal here. I didn't select games that come from indie publishers or I found at the back of my Walmart. Like, these are popular titles. Games that, by all means, I should technically enjoy. But I just, at least some elements of them, I just haven't. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and swing into this. The first game that I have been disappointed by, I'm trying to decide where exactly I start here. The first game that I have been disappointed by is going to be Nemesis by Awaken Realms. Now, please take this with a grain of salt. This is not including Nemesis Lockdown, which I have done a video on, and I am excited to see when the physical copy arrives, because I think they did some iterations on the core that may in fact change my experience with it. But when it comes to core game Nemesis, I've played 3 or 4 times at this point, and I really don't have much interest in playing again. Now, Nemesis is going to be a overwhelmingly thematic aliens sort of experience. You're going to be playing as crew members on a ship who've just woken up from some sort of cryo sleep or something along those lines, and the ship is damaged and there's a creature or various creatures ravaging the hallways. And your job is to explore, flip over room tiles, utilize your hand or your deck of cards to take a series of actions that both allow you to avoid danger as much as possible while still trying to unlock some various escape routes. Predominantly, I believe, getting into escape pods that then jettison off of the ship. It is a semi-cooperative game, which means there could be a hidden traitor objective or multiple hidden traitor objectives throughout the course of it. And for me, all 3 times I've played it, it has been a game I have wanted to love, and I just haven't. Now, I think that's going to break down into a few core areas. First off, I'm not a big fan of the Aliens movies. And Nemesis does the Aliens movies justice. It really does. I mean, it holds to that experience. And if you love those movies, if you like that slow-paced, thematic crawl, Nemesis knocks that out of the park. But as far as a game goes, it's more of a cinematic experience than a true game in the sense of like a strategy, like I can sink my teeth into something there. And that is partially disrupted by that semi-cooperative experience there. I really just don't enjoy the potential randomness that comes from not knowing if everyone in my crew is working with me, or not knowing what all of our own secret objectives are. And in a game that for me has lasted 4 or 5 hours, when I've sat down and played it with friends, I don't like that ambient win condition at the end. I want the storyline to progress and move forward in a way that allows us all to either work together or to know who isn't working with us. And especially this really cool mechanic that they have where you're able to see if you're infected. The problem is, sometimes you don't know until the very, very end of the game. So I just spent 4 or 5 hours playing and I have a worm in me, and that's the end of it. That's the end of my entire story. Again, I'm just not a big fan of the Aliens movies. For me, Nemesis, at its heart, is an incredible thematic experience. But a thematic experience that doesn't fit my personal tastes, and a mechanic experience that just takes too long to achieve what it's trying to achieve. I have better Hidden Traitor games, or let me clarify that. I have other Hidden Traitor games that are shorter, more concise, and that, for me, are more rewarding play experiences for what I'm dedicating to that time. So, the other thing I was going to mention about Nemesis, I find that the mechanics tend to be more restrictive than they are an open playground to play in. I like messy games. I like games that allow me to do a variety of things, just really, really play around with the systems that I'm given. Nemesis does the opposite of that, and it is to bring in that slow-paced, that crawling through these dark passageways mechanic, but what it ends up doing for me is it restricts the play experience. It restricts the actions I can take. It holds me back as a character, which is effective thematically, but for me, just not fun mechanically. So, that's the first one. That is Nemesis. Again, as far as my entire game group is concerned, I'm entirely wrong on this one. My next one. My next one is going to be a game that I purchased early on in my board game experience, my board game hobby. It is what I call a shut up and sit down casualty. I remember when I first got into this hobby, falling in love with every single thing that Shut Up and Sit Down did. I think I spent maybe a month watching every video they produced, and do not get me wrong, I am both still a massive super fan, and I still obsessively watch everything they put out, because they are quality beyond compare. However, I have learned that my tastes very rarely match up with theirs, and so if they're skeptical on a game, if they are hesitant to recommend it, that might be the first game that I run out and check out. If they give a glowing review or say that this is one of the most fun experiences they've ever had, as in the case of Galaxy Trucker, that game gets marked down on my, I'll try it, I'm interested, I'm not going to buy it for myself. It's an important thing to know about the board game media and reviewers that you watch, and it is something I have learned about their channel. So, a casualty of Shut Up and Sit Down. I purchased Galaxy Trucker along with a series of other games, some of which are not on this list yet, because Shut Up and Sit Down so readily advocated for the experience. They promised me something that I think really does exist in this game. This helter-skelter, build your spaceship as fast as possible to ship cargo from one end of the universe to the other. You know, around this galactic ring where you have meteors and pirate ships and planets just pelting into you, and you're slowly falling apart by the time you get to the end. And I love the idea of this game. Absolutely love it. the promise of building a ship and cargoing lots of freight and having different types of alien creatures. And I even had all of the expansions with special guests that could travel with you and secret objectives and just piles and piles of Galaxy Trucker that I very quickly learned after maybe 6 plays with a variety of different game groups, I never want to play this game again. This is one of those games that the most fun part for me is the helter-skelter, grab from the center, build your ship out in the most beautiful, chaotic puzzle you can muster. But then that fun part quickly, or I would say slowly, falls apart for me. I spent 2, 3, 4 minutes pulling pieces into my ship, trying to build the best ship possible, and then I watch as dice roll after dice roll slowly destroys my ship, and not only my ship, but everyone else's ship, to the point where what you built, what you constructed, didn't even really have that much meaning, other than being spare parts to be destroyed somewhere along the journey or along the way. The most fun part of Galaxy Trucker is the shortest part of the game, and it is also the start of the game. And so, if you offered for me to build a ship in Galaxy Trucker, I would automatically. I'd be happy to. But do I want to play the other, 20, 30, 40 minutes of watching meteors pelt my ship and just slowly having it crumble beneath me? No, not really. I just don't find that part fun. So, Galaxy Trucker. My third one on this list. Let me know, are you agreeing with me so far or not? Have I totally missed the mark, lost your respect as a board game media personality, reviewer, thing, person, human being, just lack of dignity, all that together? Well, this next one might take you for a ride. My next one on the list is going to be Watergate. Watergate is a tactical 2-player puzzle where you're doing your best to recreate the events of the Watergate era with Nixon, right? You're planning and strategizing and building this network of personal allies and spies and inside reports and information to either protect the White House or take down the administration. One of you is playing the Nixon administration, doing their very best to cover up and stop the reporters from breaking their way through the wall, and this will be a tactical tug of war. Literally, on the side of the board, you have this gradient where you're pushing and pulling this dial back and forth, doing your very best to hold back the reins of your opponent. And people love this game. I mean, they absolutely adore it, including a lot of my very close friends. In fact, most of my very close friends enjoy a lot of these games that I'm on this list here. I played Watergate once, and I left that game not really wanting to play it again. Now, I have been told by Alex from Board Game Co. that playing it again would probably be worthwhile because the game ages well. It gets better and better with multiple plays, and so I might be convinced to give it another try given the right context and circumstances, but that first play was really lackluster for me. I didn't find the card play interesting. I didn't find the theme engaging. I found the board fairly ugly. And the choices that I had in my hand when it came to strategically playing one card or the other, trying to predict what your opponent's doing, stealing personalities or stealing favor from other people, I didn't find... Sorry, I'm very close to a sneeze. It's not good to do when you're doing a video that is the equivalent of a live video. I didn't find that interaction between the two players to be gripping or compelling. Instead, throughout the course of the game, I felt predominantly bored and disinterested in what I was doing. I'd look at my hand and choose 1 or 2 cards and play them and resolve the effects, and that tug of war back and forth was fine. It was interesting, but nothing really gripped me about Watergate. This tactical puzzle that people are seeing, this head-to-head 2-player struggle, and it could be that I just disconnect from the theme in general, but it just did not do it for me. I feel like I'm going to continue saying the same thing over and over again. I've played this game significantly less than I've played the other ones on my list, but it is one that is just stuck in the back of my mind as I'm not sure why so many people love this little game. It just didn't hit right for me. So, two more on the list. My next one is probably going to ruffle some feathers. The next game I'm bringing in that has disappointed me, or is currently disappointing me, is going to be Too Many Bones. I know, it's kind of painful to say. You see, I own everything for Too Many Bones, including the Trove Chest, which I need to do a video packing very soon. And we have covered and done reviews and content on Too Many Bones here on the channel. But with the latest expansion, with the latest, the latest characters that you can play, and the ability to craft your own creature, and all of the different modules that are now available to me, I find that I'm becoming less and less enthralled by this game. I think I liked the core game with one or two expansions built in more than I like this towering behemoth that I now have. I really did not enjoy my first play experience with the new modules. Now, we did try to mix all of them in at the same time, which was probably, in hindsight, a very, very poor idea. It caused Jan, my co-host, to sell his copy, and it has mine certainly not leaving, but sitting on the shelf of shame for the time being. We just could not, for the life of us, figure out how to get the two new characters up and running, how to enjoy their operating systems. And the longer that I play Too Many Bones, the more times I've dove into it, the less interested I am in the story or the theme of it, which is a hard thing for me. As you've noticed on all of these games, theme is a big instigator for me. In fact, I'd say that it probably contributes to my lack of enjoyment or lack of interest in a series of games more than any other single mechanic. Theme is my favorite mechanic, or flavor text is my favorite mechanic. And Too Many Bones from the very first play experience is such an eye-opening opportunity. You're sitting there with a ton of overproduced components, beautiful chips, and dice that you're rolling, and character boards that have a fascinating and varied puzzle on them. As you're trying to expand and build and grow your character, you're also trying to progress through the story. You're fighting on this very simplified, abstract tactical battle map, moving around, rolling dice, hitting, punching, taking shots, and oftentimes losing along the way. But the part that I love the most about Too Many Bones quickly fades to the background. It is the character puzzle itself. And as I'm exploring that, I find that the battle map, the abstracted environment that we're playing in, the creatures that maybe move one or two spaces and then just sit next to you, walloping you time and time again. I mean, that's great, but it just isn't as captivating as I might like it to be. It's like playing a smaller version of checkers with dice rolling on the table. And the character development and the progression, and don't get me wrong, I still think this game is, at its heart, great. But when we played with characters that didn't shine, or at least systems that we didn't find engaging or interesting, the rest of the game just really was laid bare and was very, very disappointing. We spent probably 3, maybe 4 hours learning, studying, and then playing with the new systems, and it just did not hit right. And so now I'm in a position with Too Many Bones where I really want to play it again, because I want to double check my current experience, but I don't want to teach anyone this game. I don't want to get it to the table. I don't want to spend another 5 hours relearning, going over the rules, making sure I have the mechanics right, double checking, player boards and dice and stats and getting everything organized, and then teaching someone how to play this complicated system. Because it is a fairly heavy and complicated game, and for the payoff that I'm getting, it seems that the more times I play it, the less interested I am in playing it, which is actually really disappointing. Because Too Many Bones is a game that I not only have loved, but I would love to continue loving. But that's a conundrum. And our 5th game, I decided to include something that's a little bit more off the wall, abstract, right? Because I have a list of other games that could be on this list that might fit into what you'd assume is my genre. And again, if you want to make sure you see those, hit the like button down below, make sure that you're subscribed, and if you already are, that bell wouldn't hurt as well. What that bell does is it makes sure that you're notified whenever we put out a new video, and so you won't miss all of the content that we continue putting out. My fifth on this list is going to be a game called Wavelength. Now, I'm not a party gamer, so caveat, barriers, brackets, locked in place. I really don't like party games that much. I find playing them once or twice to be fun or interesting, and given the right environment with just enough bourbon, I can certainly have fun with them. But they're not my style. And Wavelength is going to be a game where you're spinning a dial that has little brackets or indicators on it. And you're doing your very best, based on a card, to indicate or get on the same wavelength with your partner. I might have a bracket that says something yellow. And so I look my partner in the eye and I say, rubber duck. And if the bracket, the area that I needed to hit, was all the way over on the right, that means that it is very, very yellow. Or, if it was in the middle, I'd need something that was moderately yellow. I might think of a sweater that I had, or orange, I can't think of it at the moment. Maybe like a meringue pie or something like that. Yellow, but a softer yellow. And then if it wasn't yellow at all, it was over on the left side, I might think of a note card or a grizzly bear, something that would never be classified as yellow. And my partner would then try to get on my wavelength, spin the dial to where they think those brackets are based on the clue that I gave, and then you'd reveal. And however close you are to that location is how many points you do or don't score. And you're playing against a group of opponents who are doing the same thing and also trying to guess how accurate you and your partner have been over the course of the game. Wavelength is an experience. It's fine. I've probably played it 6 times. Would I turn it down? No. Do I kind of grumble inside myself if someone pulls out Wavelength and says, let's play this tonight? Yeah, I find the game interesting. I find the mechanics fun enough, but I really do need enough bourbon to justify enjoying this game. After about 10 minutes of play, you find that you're just really doing the same thing over and over again, which is spinning that dial, guessing the clue, giving a clue. Are we on the same wavelength? If we aren't, oh no. If we are, high five. And that's great with, a little bit of liquid relief. Wavelength was really fun the first 10 minutes I played, and continues to be fun the first 10 minutes I play. But the longer it goes on, the more I play and the more I interact with it, the less I actually want to engage with it, which is true with the majority of party games for me. And this is one that's still in my co-host's personal collection, so like I said at the very beginning, as far as my opinions go, take them with a grain of salt. I have been known, apparently, to be wrong. So, that's a list of 5 board games that have disappointed me the most. If you enjoyed this video, please remember, like I've said half a dozen times before, leave a comment down below letting me know other games that might fit into this realm in your collection. And if you want to hear what's on the other list, like I said, I have about 16 games on my list at the moment, including a potential list of 5 games Shut Up and Sit Down got wrong. I still adore them, just clarifying. And 5 games I never want to play again. So, if you're interested in learning, watching, experiencing, having a conversation with me, please do so. Whatever the case, though, whatever you do, remember to do the important thing. Get out and play some games, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.